All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. I hope everybody had a great trading day today. Let me get this tweeted out for everybody here so everybody can join in. 1 second. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. Well, I hope everybody's doing great. So today we are going to continue our topic on day trading with changes of composure in the market. Very appropriate for this week, as in the last couple of weeks, as we've definitely seen some changes. So this week we're going to take a look at Keltner Channels. Okay, we've talked about Keltner Channels in the past, and gone over them, and we're going to review those again today a little bit, and just show how they can kind of indicate change too. A very, very powerful tool. Before we do that, everything we're going to talk about tonight is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's take a look and review and see where we are at in the market. So I'm pulling up the monthly chart here. And the reason I'm doing that is because we started a new month today, right? So we have to take a look and see how we finished last month to see what kind of context we have going into this month. So we're contending with a shooting star pattern on the monthly chart. Very, very rare. Remember, we went back to 1998 was the last time we saw a shooting star of this magnitude on the monthly chart. We saw a pretty significant move down after that, right? So again, this market has been extremely bullish, right? So is the top end, we don't really know, right? But all we can do is use the levels, right? And use the candles that give us the indication of potential moves. Now, and of course, take it day by day, minute by minute, whatever time frames we trade on. So when we look here, we see the monthly chart, right? We're kind of already kind of gapped up a little bit and have and are green so far in the month in February. Right, we go to the weekly chart, right, because we're starting a new week, and we want to see where we left off last week. Now, last week we left off with a shooting star candle. It's kind of like a momentum pattern after the prior week, which was also a red candle, right? So we got a little bit of follow through from there, right? We filled the gap, right? We left a closing gap on there, but again, where did we gap to? Where did we push to? We pushed to a level of support right here on the weekly chart, right? So this is a very important consideration, especially going into this week, right? And it's not surprising that we see a little bit of a bounce here because we came to support. And of course, this market is still pretty bullish, right? We're still over the weekly 30 MA, which we talked about last week as being a significant, right, MA, a very important moving average. Let's take a look at the daily chart and take a look and see where we're at right here. So we can see that we've broken down below this, right? This micro trend line right here. This is a big one on the SPX, right? So we first had our first breakdown here, which gave our trend box to this level, and then we had a big gap down right last Monday, and that really started to change things. I'm going to show how that affected that with the Keltner channels in a little bit. Right, we came back, we filled the gap. The next day we gapped up, but we couldn't quite fill the closing gap up here, so that left a little bit of resistance in this area. And then we actually, we pushed down, we gapped down, right? We ended up pushing down a little bit. It was getting kind of scary as we approached those levels again, because if we closed below there bearishly, right, we would expect more downside movement. And so we came up, right? We kind of got this pattern where it looked like it was trying to reverse, and it reclaimed a good portion of this candle too. It looked like it might get some follow through until Friday, right? Where we got a little bit of a gap down, and it just continued to work its way to the downside, right? So big candle, usually big candles are met with a little bit of pause, right? A lot of times you don't see unless there's some mega news that comes out, which we didn't see over the weekend, right? I mean, there was generally some bearish stuff that happened over the weekend, right? More coronavirus type things. But in general, it's tended to stay pretty calm, right? The Chinese, central bank infused more money into their system, right? More, stimulus type stuff in their economy, right? And in general, the market gapped up today, right? So, and the market likes to do that, right? So we did a poll the other day on Twitter, how many people think futures are going to open bearish? This was last night, and most people said, the majority of people, 80% of the people said that we would not only open in the red, but also a good percentage said that we would open very red, right? And we ended up opening green and gapping up today and finishing up 23 points. So it was actually a pretty significant day. And look where we did. We gapped right up to that trend box level right here, very significant level, right? We started to push pretty hard this morning. We pulled back too. So it also gave an upper shadow today, which is also an area of concern. Right, so we left with an inside day, right? So inside days are significant. We know about that. We had an inside day here, work our way up. So we need to see tomorrow's going to be a very significant day too. It's a very significant week because we're going to see how these changes of composure, right? How the market is dealing with it and how we can look for entries. Right now, again, we're in a position right here where it's difficult to put on any long-term positions, right? Long, or even short, right? Because we don't really know what's going on inside this trend box until we get some confirmation one way or the other, right? So that's kind of the key right now. So that's where we're at, right? That's basically where we're at the market. So let's take a look at the 15-minute chart right here. And just see what happened today intraday, right? We had a nice, 15-minute orb. Right here's your opening range bar, and here's your breakout right here. So it gave a nice move out, nice breakout, right? And it was almost like a 20-point move, 18-point move all the way up. A little bit of a tweezer top right here, worked our way back down, right, and hung out around the 15-order level today. Here's the 5-minute chart. These are the levels that we use intraday, right? If we go to today's chart, let's go, today was the 3rd. So we go February 3rd. And these are the levels that we use, right? So a nice candle here, which got us to the next level. Nice candle here, which got us to the next level, right? And then it just kept working its way up here. You had your tweezer top on the 5-minute chart, came down to these levels, right? Tested these levels again and worked our way choppy through the day between that channel. So very, very good stuff, right? So very, very interesting. So today, we're going to be talking about the Keltner channels, right? So what are the Keltner channels? Keltner channels are a method, right? They use the exponential moving average, the exponential 20 MA, right? Exponential 20 moving average. And from there, right, instead of doing standard deviations, right, they just use ATRs, right? So what we do is, unlike the Bollinger Bands, right, the Bollinger Bands use a 20 simple moving average and they use standard deviations. With the Keltner channels, we use ATRs, right? So let's take a look and see what that looks like. So let's go to the daily chart, and then we'll take a look at the weekly chart as well. So let me let me clear all these out. Let's clear out these moving averages here. I really like keeping that 30 on there, or the 150 on there. So we'll keep that on there for now. But let me get a clean chart for everybody here without our charts on, without our levels on it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to studies, and I know you can't really see it right here, so it just it takes a while. But you just go to studies and you look for Keltner channels. So I'll just type in Keltner. And I believe, I'm not sure if I have this saved as a default, but you can see what the settings are up here. Okay, so Keltner channels, right? Just okay, I can't really scroll over that. If you go to the top, if you look at the top, if it'll slow down right there, top middle right there, it says Keltner channel 0, 1.5. So the ATRs are 1.5, and then this one actually uses your 14, right? So if you go to, it kind of gives more of a description in here, right? So your the length, right? Your moving average, or the length that it takes the averages from is your 14. Right? So this is the number of bars used to calculate the average. Typically it's a 20, but I think the 14, I've saved this as a default in this one, just from, I believe, from John Carter's book. So let's take a look and see what happened right here. So this is pretty significant, right? So you can see that there's definitely been a change in composure, and this is one way to tell that things are a little bit different out there, right? So one of the things we can that we look at, right, is what were the Keltners doing originally? Right, so we're really working our way up, right? Look how smooth this channel is, right? So a nice smooth average up, right? And the channels themselves are nice, equidistant, right? No major moves and all that stuff. And we start to see a little bit of a change right here. So a lot of times, right, we start to see a change in composure when we push back in to the Keltner channels, right? Now we had this candle right here, which gave a significant move in, and that's something that we look at, right? So if we close below, if we're moving above, and we've talked about this before in the 5-minute time frame, right, various time frames. If we close below, here's actually your first red close within the Keltner channels right here. You can see the next day, right, we had a big push down, right, and that closed within the lower Keltner channel, and then from there we pushed down even more, right? So that actually moved, 2 ATRs down on that one. So pretty significant stuff there. And look what happened with the Keltner channel. If we zoom in right here, look how smooth all this was going up. You could tell things were changing a little bit, right? Once we push down, look at the shift in the channels, right? I mean, obviously just looking at price is one thing. This is a great way to kind of get our minds around what's going on, right? We can see that there was a push, right? And you can see this, the channel started to spread a little bit here, right? It started to get, this started to push down, right? This started to push up a little bit more. This got flat, right? So it's definitely a change going on here. And this is where we need to really start taking notice that things are changing, right? We want to look at our development of price through these levels until things start to stabilize again, right? So that is definitely an indication of a change of composure. And then we start getting smooth again, right? So we're working our way up, right? Starting, getting pretty smooth all the way up here. And then boom, we had this day, right? So we had Friday, big move. This is last Friday, not this Friday, 2 Fridays ago. That was kind of the start of the whole thing, right? So, big moves down there on Friday, and then that started to shift things again. Then we had the gap down after it, right? So very similar to this, big candle down, gap down, started to shift things. We see the exact same thing here. Big gap down and started to shift, right? We could definitely see a change in composure, not just in the price itself, but the Keltner channels are telling us that things are changing, right? So this is really important stuff, right? Because look what happened, right? As we pushed back up, look what we couldn't do. We couldn't get above the mid-Keltner channel, right? So that is really showing a change in composure right here, right? Until we can get above, right, these guys, right, until we can get above that guy, right? We do our levels, and we can get above this mid-Keltner channel and close bullishly above it, right? Chances are we're not going to test back here, which means we're not going to test the all-time highs, right? Which is right there, right? So very, very important stuff. And you can see things are starting to shift. You see the Keltner channel starting to turn down. And we had a decent day today, up 23 points, but it's an inside day. And look where it's contained with. It's contained within the lower end of the channels right there. So this is a great tool to use. You don't necessarily have to use it intraday, but it's a good one to kind of look at in the morning, and in the evening too, just to see what's going on, to make sure trend is still intact, and to make sure there hasn't been a change in composure, and that's exactly what's happening here. One thing I wanted to point out too is the weekly chart. This is also the weekly Keltner channel, so this is also an important thing to look at as well. This also helps to show changes in trend, right? And so one of the things I do want to point out here is the recent kind of moves that we've seen. So we here on the weekly chart, right? This is back in 2017 as we moved up into 2018, right? Everything was kind of moving up nicely, nice and smooth on the Keltner channel, sort of like we're seeing right here, right? And then we saw a big down move right here, and we started to see a shift in the Keltner channels, right? Once we got this big shift down, right? So until, right, we can get back above and start moving smoothly, right, above our other channels right here, start riding the upper channel, right, there's a change in composure, right? We need to pay attention to that, right, before just deciding to go long and, saying like, hey, let's do this, right? Not until we close bullishly over it right here do we start to see a move up to the upper Keltner channel, right? Came back down, tested, and then worked its way up. And then we saw things started to get smooth again, then we saw another break here on the weekly, right? So very, very cool stuff how this shows, these changes in trend, right? And we saw this also happen recently too. We're starting to see this happen here, right? We had a weekly close below the upper Keltner channel here, which is starting to look similar to this, right? So we need to see how this week does, right? But definitely we're below the upper Keltner channel here, and we want to see how we handle the mid Keltner channel on the weekly chart. Also a significant one to look at. So hopefully you guys find that helpful. Definitely something to look at, especially on the intraday time frames, to see how we're handling these levels. Right now we're not getting above this mid count until we can get above these levels. Right, this change of composure is real. Right, and so it also corresponds with a lot of the stuff we're talking about with our trend boxes and things like that on Twitter. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. And at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window. And we'll get through as many as we can. We'll try to wrap as early as possible so we can get a good night's sleep and have an awesome trading day tomorrow as well. So good stuff. So let's take a look and see what we got. So Shirley sent in a few. As always, we love looking at these. So let's take a look. So surely one day we'll get another YouTube account, but until then, we'll keep answering by email. So that being said, let's take a look at Microsoft. Right, so we got this here. This is I'm just kind of keeping this here, right? It's kind of the way it is, right? That we've been following this channel for a long time. Got really, really tight in here, got a little bit below it, started working our way back up the bottom of the channel, and now have been working our way to the top of the channel. So you can see right here, getting pretty strong, nice close today. Decent volume, right? Above average volume, right? And a nice close. So let's see if we get some follow through to the upside on that, and then see how we handle the top of the channel. Teva. Oh, yeah, that's actually a real nice close. This is what we were looking for. We talked about this last night. Wow, great candle today. Nice close. So the high here was 11.13. We closed at 11.15. Closed bullishly above these levels, and that is nice enough to go on the game plan for tomorrow. So great chart on that one. Shirley really like that one. So that's going to go on the radar today too. Let's see. So we've got Teva. Microsoft looks pretty good as well. Both look really, really strong. So yeah, so definitely bullish, perfect stuff. We love this stuff. It's overall our key levels, great volume. We'll hope to see some strength on this one into tomorrow. NLOC. Okay, yeah. So NLOC, Norton LifeLock, right? So it's looking pretty good right here. Nice close over these levels right here. Just keep an eye that we've got earnings coming up in 3 days. So we've got earnings coming up very, very soon. A little bit of an upper shadow today too, so just keep an eye out for that one. Zoom is another good one. That's next. Huge day today, right? Huge day. Got over all these levels. Nice close. Good volume. Wouldn't be surprised to see some strength in this one tomorrow too. This was on our bullish radar today because it was one of the only ones that had relative strength on Friday. That one and Tesla were both on our radar today. So both had, in fact, incredible moves today. So they got over their, this one got over its pivot. Tesla was just, on Mars right now. So big moves on there, and great move on Zoom. So let's see if that gets some follow through on that. Big candle today, so wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pause down on that one. CTVA. Corteva. Yeah, looking interesting right here. Just be careful. Just watch a couple levels that we've got going on. A nice close over these levels, decent volume, right? Just watch this guy right here. There's your next level up, okay? So there's a little bit of an upper shadow at those levels, and you got these right here at about like 31. Okay, so those are kind of key levels to get over. I'd like to see it close above this this guy right here, which was $30.35. So good stuff. And Stock Recycler, Facebook. I think I spelled it right this time, right? so Facebook's really interesting, right? So it closed bearishly below the upper trend line on Friday, right? And today gave you a nice kind of short range, narrow range inside day, right? We know about those narrow range inside days, so let's see how it holds right here. It does have a little bit of cloud below, but definitely keep a look at both of these levels, right? We're now under the 50-day moving average. We're under the upward trend line, right? So a breakdown below today's lows could give a move to the cloud and then possibly into the cloud. And then your 200-day moving average is down here about 192. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. And then Pat sent a message earlier too about PFE and had a quick question about the cloud and how we handle the cloud, right? So we do a lot of work in our group with these, and we've done a bunch of videos and we've done some series on these before. So a couple things to keep in mind is once you pierce the cloud with a bearish candle, right, you would expect some follow through on that. So here's a pretty bearish candle right here. This was a piercing candle, but it had a lower shadow. But once we start to push there and get below these levels, right, especially closing below a prior resistance level too, which you can see here, we did get some follow through the downside. So nice gap down on that one. Okay, today we got some push up right here. We have an upper shadow into the cloud, which means it's met some resistance right here, and it's also prior resistance too. So very, very important to take note of, right? So some bearishness here, well, at least some resistance here off of the cloud. So we look for strong moves into and out of the cloud. That is really what we look for on those. So good stuff. Trade, what's going on? Let's take a look at shop. So shop held the upward trend line today, so it was looking pretty bearish too. It had a bearish engulfing day on Friday, and it did get some downside movement today, and then it had an epic reversal. Let's actually take a look at this one. This is a pretty significant one. So we had a big down move today on it. Look at this candle right here, just like Pat, if you're listening. So we've got here just like the cloud. The cloud is kind of like its own little levels, right? So we have a bearish candle here below our 15 orb levels and our pre-market levels right there. We would expect some downside movement. Now gave a little bit of pain pullbacks right here, but eventually worked its way down very nicely, right? And then we had a nice reversal doji right here, and then also worked its way back up, hence finishing with the doji today. And then when you keep your daily chart in mind, you have your trend line right there. That's basically where we bounced off of today. So very, very important stuff there too. So good. And Claudio, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. What's up? Yeah, Guild and Tesla. So let's take a look at Guild. So Guild today had a big gap up on and good, huge pre-market volume based on, I think, some work that they're doing with their testing out some of their vaccines, some of their products in China to help with the coronavirus. So it had a huge gap up today and a nice attempt at getting over a lot of these levels, right? But also came into a lot of resistance right here, a lot of selling pressure in these areas. So it couldn't hold those levels. And today came back down significantly, came back all the way down to the 50-day moving average, got a bounce and closed above the cloud. So I would expect to see a little bit of consolidation, right? Except, right, it does have earnings coming up really soon too. So it's got earnings tomorrow after the market. So at this point, it's kind of all over the place. So we'll see what earnings has to say and where they decide to position this thing. And then Tesla. So Tesla, of course, can't go without looking at this one. So pretty impressive day today. I mean, extremely impressive. I mean, the funny thing is, it's starting to be like, you know, how Beyond was when it got to like, or Tilray when it got to 300, and Beyond when it got close to 300. Very, very difficult to trade. Right, it was like Zoom. It had a very, it was one of the only green days on Friday, right? So that, you know, kind of said like, hey, you know, if you want some risk over the weekend, might be one to look at, especially because it's Tesla. And if you're bearish on the market overall, Tesla's a good one to be long with because it likes to go inverse the market a lot of times. It had the strength of the market behind it as well, and got some big continuation moves above that today, and you can kind of see that here. So you can just, you know, I mean, just. You know, its price action today was just pretty incredible, right? 15 orb up for a big push. A lot of people took profit off of this candle right here. But to see this thing continue to work its way up today was just incredible. I mean, this candle alone, 15-minute candle, was 43 points, right? It's starting to get beyond ridiculous at this point, right? So, I mean, it's just like this candle right here is 25 points, 45 points. I mean, it's all over the place right now. I mean, Tesla is just insane. When you think about it, just a day ago, it was $650. It's almost $800 right now, right? A month ago, right, it was like $500. 2 months, you know, a couple months ago, you know, it was in the 300s. So really, really impressive stuff. It's almost just amazing what Tesla's doing right now. And so yeah, so we'll see if we get any strength tomorrow. It's down a little bit here after hours, but again, it's probably going to be pretty wild for a while. Also, the premiums are getting crazy. So if anybody likes to sell premium, this is one to look at for doing that. So good stuff, Paul. What's going on? Shooting Star, nice. Yeah, good to see you, man. Paul, what's happening? Netflix, let's take a look. Yeah, so Netflix, great moves right here today. You got a couple of these upper shadows right here at the same level. It just doesn't, it's just not filling these gaps, right? So a couple big things, right? We got some key levels up here. Here's your gap right here. Here's your resistance levels up here. I believe maybe all-time high-ish. No, not quite all-time high-ish, but you have that open gap right there. It's just not filling that gap yet. So once it can get above these levels right here and can fill that gap, you know, probably over like 365-ish, right? Then we can see ourselves working back up maybe to that 385 level. So that's kind of what we're seeing there. Great stuff. Matthew, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in, man. Mark and Mike just stopped by to say hello. Bubblers. What's up, Bubblers? Netflix had some heavy call flows in the option. Yep, and just looking at Netflix right here. So yeah, lots of call flows today. Good volume today. Nice close. Just couldn't close above that guy. It couldn't get in. Couldn't fill that gap. So let's see if it gets any strength. In it tomorrow. It's definitely on the radar for sure. Jay Schwartz, what's going on? Let's take a look at Roku. Yep, so Roku trying to hold on today. It had a good move. I believe it closed back above these support levels right here. So let's see if it can hold on. Give you an inside day today. Again, it's still below this macro or this downward trend line right here, but also working on a this descending triangle right here. So somewhat respecting the 200-day moving average. Again, needs to get some strength. Needs to get above this this downward trend line right here, so it can try to work its way out. Earnings coming up on the 13th. So some big stuff going on there. SMDC4S, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing great. President accounted for. Seneca, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Yes, Planet Fitness. Very good. This is on the bullish radar today too a lot, right? Got a nice move today. This is again, why are they shorting this one? It's great gym stock, right? And they probably have Pelotons in it too, which is even better. So a little bit of an upper shadow today. So again, that's going to kind of be the level to close above at this point. But yeah, definitely looking strong. Look for intraday strength on this one, especially with the short squeeze opportunities. Great stuff. Cool. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Team and Vive. Yep. Good. So Team's looking pretty good right here. So inside day failed to break to the downside and came back in pretty strong today. So Team's actually looking pretty good for a possible move again. Obviously, we want to see it get over those levels right there for to show some more strength. So otherwise, it could be in congestion zone. And then Vive. Yep, earnings coming up pretty soon too. Double inside day, right? It's double inside day, so getting pretty tight in here too. So let's see what it could do. Now, Netflix, by the way, just kind of going back to it, Netflix was just coming off of a double inside day. And the really cool thing is, we've done a lot of case studies on the double inside days here before, but look at this double inside day. We gapped right in it, failed to break below, and once it broke above it, right, it got a lot of momentum off of that. Lots of energy built into those inside days, especially the doubles. So definitely something to look at there. So to keep that in mind on Vive too. Raymond, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Daniel, Beyond, BYND. Yep, so Beyond is kind of sliding down the cloud at this point. So today was a pretty weak day for Beyond, but it is holding the cloud. Gave you a little lower shadow there. It did test the prior double inside day levels, and it still closed below them, right? So let's see if it wants to test lower. You've got, I believe, an open gap below here in the 98s, and a closing gap here around 95, 96. So just keep an eye on that as well, and look at the price action today on this one. 15 orb, great 15 orb trade today. Just see ya to the downside. We've got some intraday techniques too to get us in a little bit earlier using pre-market levels, things like that, right? That gave it a nice move to the downside. We were definitely tracking that too at the open. So great stuff on that. And anyway, hey Raymond, great to see you, man. Paul, yeah, outer space. Stocks in space. So yeah, so good stuff right here. So yeah, nice close today on space. Virgin Galactic. So there we go. So nice close right there. Good volume today. A little bit of an upper shadow, but I think if it pushes over today's highs, right, it could start to work its way up to test those other levels up there. This thing's been a pretty wild one. MTMVR, what's going on? Tesla and the weekly Keltner is hilarious. Yeah, I know. Let's go to Tesla here. And let's go back to the Keltners. I mean, the daily is just like, okay, parabolic move, can we say? And then you go to the weekly. Hello, where are you? Yeah, down there. Yeah, definitely a change in composure, this one, right? But this one started it, right? This is the candle that started. We talked about the other day, right? Yeah, we were talking about the bullishness of Tesla. Change in composure candle right there. Look at that. Right over the 30 as well. And then see ya. Stocks in space. This should be the new theme, right? All right, good stuff there on Tesla. Yo-Yo-Mo74, what's going on? GDX. Let's take a look at the GDX. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit here. This one can be complex to trade, right? It does, when it starts to break out, right, it looks good. It started to break out here, a nice one, and then got a nice follow through to the upside, right? So let's just see if we can see it. This was a nice one right here too. Over all these levels, gapped up nicely, right? So this is a tough one. It's tough for multi-day moves because it gaps around a lot, moves all over the place. But right now we're kind of congesting right here. So we'll see if it can work its way above all these levels. Again, key level right here is gonna be like basically 30. We're gonna be keeping an eye on that one. Pel, what's going on? Lulu? Yep, looking good right here. So we were stalking that today to see if it closed bullishly over these recent highs. It did tag a high right here, but it couldn't close above this high right here, this 247. 51 ended up pulling back below it. So we're still in the congestion area, but let's see if we can get some strength. It does have fresh highs, so we do have a fresh trend line here. We got this going on. So we do have this. I mean, it's definitely bullish till proven otherwise. Nice ascending triangle. I love when the trend line follows the 50 moving average. You just gotta love that. So strong stuff there. But yeah, see if we can push over today's highs and close above it. That would be great. And then Uber. So Uber, yeah, nice move today too. It had a great, what was it, Wedbush, give him like a stock of the year type of word. We had it as trade of the week back here, and it still had some nice movement past that. It's got earnings coming up on the 6th, so just in a couple days, a couple short days for Uber. We should be able to see some fun lotto action, hopefully on Friday. But I'd like to see it get above this 38 level bullishly with this, this type of volume. Maybe get a little bit of an earnings run too, if we can do that. Otherwise, earnings might get it there. It's great stuff. Bubble Shack Attack. M-Hawk, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Shack Attack. Yeah, so it's trying, right? We had a nice candle right here, nice breakout candle out of the trading range right here, which is great. Nice increased volume. Gave a great gap up and a push, and then is consolidating and creating a new range right here. So we're definitely in a nice little congestion right here. Starting to get pretty interesting. So key levels really to get above, ultimately is going to be this guy right here, this 72.84. May as well get over 73. Get over the 200-day moving average, get out of the cloud, and start working as best it can. Otherwise, if it breaks down below these levels right here, we might see a gap fill below. Good stuff. Bob B, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Diz, yeah, Diz has earnings coming up, I believe tomorrow after the close. Let's take a look. Yeah, but nice move today. Nice gap up over the 200-day moving average. Earnings up after the close tomorrow. Again, closed within the cloud, but a little bit of an upper shadow off of it. It's got to get above this guy at the least, right? And then maybe it might come up and test this channel right here. But really, it's all about earnings at this point, and we want to see how it handles that, right? So where they decide to put it. But let's see if it gets some strength. Maybe they got some great numbers to report on Disney Plus, and see if it gets some continuation to the upside on that. That'd be great. Nudie Poo, what's going on? Win. So how about Win? Had horrible casino numbers today out of Macau. And still bullish. Nice move today. Got over these key levels. Nice volume. Upper shadow. Couldn't close above the cloud. So may chop for a little bit. Earnings coming up pretty soon as well on the 6th after the close. So a lot of action coming up this week for earnings. And then Neo. Okay, it's trying. Whew. So big candle right here that tried to get above the original downward trend line from IPO time, right? Came down, got it again, couldn't get above it. Then it finally got above it here with some nice increased volume, got a nice move up, and then a big move down, right? So now it's just holding some key levels right here. Again, this is the recent level that it's holding. I believe this goes back to here, this prior pivot. So we're above that, right? So let's see if we can get some strength on this one. It's trying to ride on the coattails of Tesla, but it's struggling. It's still got some issues. It's $4 stock, right? So, but nice close today. Let's see if we get some upside. Again, next level might be 450. And good. Wendy, good morning. Hope everything's going great in Singapore. Hope you're doing well. SPLK, let's take a look. Yep, so SPLK, nice move today. A little bit of a hot dog pattern on it right here, right? So reversal of a reversal of a reversal. So again, this is a key level here that we want to see it get above. So right now it's just still kind of chopping around. Amazon. 2 red days in a row, big red candle, right, on earnings. Huge gap up, don't get me wrong, right? So huge gap up on that, and then a big upper shadow today with a little bit of a momentum close potential. Again, under 2,000, a close under 2,000, could see it getting back into this gap right here, and given some messy stuff. See how it handles this gap. That is really key for Amazon. Netflix, of course. So again, a couple upper shadows right here, trying to fill that gap above. Needs to get above that with some strength. And then NVIDIA. Inside day on NVIDIA. Inside day inside the trend box, right? Why are we inside the trend box? Because here's our trend line, right? From this low to this high, right? Breaking down below it. Here's your pivot right here. So we're kind of within this range right now. So 50-day moving average below. Inside day earnings coming up mid-month, right? Right when Roku's coming out too. So let's see how that ends up handling this trend box right here. Needs some strength. Yeah, my pleasure. Trade. Yeah, my pleasure. Tracy, what's going on? Plan. Plan. Oh yeah, nice close today on plan. I really like it. I think we looked at it today at the close. The only thing I didn't like was it's like right at these pivot levels right here. So you might have some all-time high, kind of selling pressure. But above that, it could get really strong. But it's a good opportunity here. Big cup and handle type formation, right? It's over the this megaphone that we drew the other day. So again, over these levels is going to be key. Great stuff. Cool. Yeah, my pleasure. Pell, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. Awesome. Well, good stuff, guys. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. I think we saw a pretty cool concept today of changing composure using the Keltner channel. So hopefully, you guys that'll benefit you with your chart reading. And if you're new here, definitely please click subscribe on YouTube. We do this every market night. We go over new technical ideas and we take chart requests, and we always end up learning something new. And really appreciate everybody for tuning in and for your support. And also definitely check out the links in the description. Oh, and please click like on YouTube too. We enjoy that as well. So I hope everybody has a great evening, and thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow at the Good Morning Market update on Twitter. And remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon.